Hey all, Chris Perry here with a 3 minute hit for Northern Dynasty Minerals. Look, this has been one of the most interesting companies that we've actually represented as a market awareness providers. Um, in that we did a deal with the company. The company said, "Yep, we've got a story to tell. Let's tell it." And then immediately thereafter, the EPA came out with a decision that, quite frankly, is a little hard to defend, and put the stop on their project to the point where the company hasn't really had anything to say to us in the time since. We're doing what we can do in that we're not burning through their contract, right? We've paused the contract because if you've got nothing to say, we aren't going to take money out of your pocket. But it's interesting what's happening with this project, and something that I think, despite the fact that there's not much for them to say right now, there's a lot that we can say about what's happening up in Alaska at the Pebble Project. Here it is in a nutshell. Previous management promised that, hey, it's an environmentally sensitive area where they're doing their thing, and we're only going to take a little bit of a hole in that, and we're going to look after the environment. We're not going to go above a certain point in size, and it'll be fine. Calm yourself. It's good. And then some environmentalists came in and had a sit down with the then CEO, recorded him saying, actually, we're going to take a whole damn chunk and it's going to be great and profitable. And the whole thing went tits up. Okay, so this happens sometimes. New management comes in, sits down and says, well, that was terrible and we're not going to do that anymore. What we would like to do, though, is we'd like to process this project. We'd like to move it forward to a place that is reasonable, where the people of Alaska are making royalties, where the local indigenous communities are getting jobs, and where everybody is able to benefit from what is one of the largest potential projects of its kind in the world. Now, we're running out of copper. There are not a whole lot of new places that are coming online to mine copper. It is a thing where we are going to have less and less ability to get copper out of the ground going forward, unless someone comes along and starts up something new. This could be the answer to everyone's problems, but it isn't. There's rare earths out there that these guys could go out and be getting. There's a whole bunch of stuff under the ground in Alaska, a state that loves its mining. Let's be clear. If you exist in Alaska, if you live in Alaska, you get a check every year from oil, gas, and mining royalties, and it's thousands of dollars that every Alaskan, you could be sitting in a cabin off the grid, you will get, probably by mule train or dog sled, a check for many thousands of dollars every year just because you're an Alaskan. This project could increase that by a healthy factor. Here's the problem. There are fish around. There's a fishery in nearby, as there is everywhere in Alaska. I mean, Jesus, you could throw a rock, you're going to hit a salmon. So if you're going to do a mine out there, you want to make sure that you're not killing fish. You want to make sure you're not destroying fishery habitats. You want to make sure that you're doing extra above and beyond what's required so that the local communities don't come and burn your damn Hummers down, right? So Northern Dynasty is aware of this. They've gone through enough hassle trying to get this project up and running that it's not going to go out there and do the wrong thing. The problem is that the Army Corps of Engineers went out and did themselves an FEIS, it's called a Final Environmental Impact Statement, where they said, yeah, this mine could actually exist without having a major impact on the fisheries. Would there be an impact? I mean, there's an impact every time someone drives a truck through. A major impact, like a kill the fisheries impact, not likely at all. And hey, if you told the company, yes, you can do your mine, but the moment a fish dies from it, we're going to close you down, I guarantee you a fish isn't going to be allowed to die on the damn thing. So here's Northern Dynasty saying, all right, well, we've got the Army Corps of Engineers have said, yeah, you're good to go. Local communities have said you're good to go. And along comes the Environmental Protection Agency, an agency that I hold very dear and think, generally speaking, does a really important job all over North America. But in this instance, have just jumped the gun a little bit. Now, you've got the Biden administration head of climate that has come out and said this thing shouldn't go ahead and pronounced publicly hallelujah when it didn't. You've got all sorts of people in the Democrat Party, quite frankly, which, my preferred side. I'm not by any stretch a conservative, but I also realize you need mines. If you don't have mines, you don't have technology. If you don't have technology, you are going down a very quick hole to hell. And so I don't want no mines. What I want are responsible mines. I don't want no gas pipelines. I want gas pipelines that pay royalties to the indigenous communities, employ them, and are double, triple, quadruple protecting the environment that they go through. This is possible, right? Nuclear power plants are the cleanest form of energy. You do them the wrong way, you have 3 Mile Island. You do them the right way, you have the future of green energy. And so I think the Pebble Project for me is the same thing. Was the company stupid in the past? Yep. Did they do things they shouldn't have done? Unquestionably. But can this project be moved forward in a responsible way that makes sense for everybody? Damn what the environmentalists might say, in which the purity test is you can never do anything that can harm anything ever, ever. Man, at some point you've got to actually progress things forward. Protecting the fisheries, make it the number one line item. Make it the thing that has to happen before anything else. Fine the company times 10 for any environmental cleanup that they have to do as a result of their damage. By all means, make it so prohibitive to do the wrong thing that the wrong thing can never happen. I'm all for it. Every time a nuclear power plant is created, those are the ground rules that generally come with it. But if you just say, look, there's some fish out there, and, if you put a road through, maybe some fish are going to get impacted. Well, of course they are. And they're going to get impacted when you float an oil tanker 100 miles away. They're going to get impacted by anything and everything in the water supply. Everything impacts everything. If impacting something is the measure, we never get anything done. So you want to impact things in the slightest way possible. You want to have as many redundancies and safety valves as possible. You want to make sure that if anything is incompetently done or ignorantly done or deliberately done or accidentally done that damages that fish habitat, that the company feels it for 25 years. Nothing will make sure that they do a good job more than that threat. But by all means, man, let them do the goddamn job. Let them go out there and start small. Let them go out there, find the richest place that they can go and stick a hole in it, fence it off, do whatever you need to do to make sure that the environment surrounding it is protected as best as can possibly be done. Not reasonably be done, which is normally the standard, but possibly be done. God, if you need to put a concrete barrier around the entire project that goes 20 feet deep, do it. Do it. If you want to fine the company 100 times what it costs to clean up on any mistake that they make, do it. But let them move this thing forward, because there be a lot of ore under the ground in this particular instance. A lot of money that can be made for a lot of people, not just investors, of which I would be one, but local communities, employment, royalties for Alaska, product that can be turned into green energy solutions going forward. There's so much here that is good potentially, and the purity test that is being applied to it to cut it off and make sure that this company particularly can't move that project forward, I think is beyond the pale. I think that there needs to be a real change, and for mine, there will be a change. This company, mark my words, will at some point take the EPA to court, and recent decisions against the EPA will work against it in this instance. The company has money in its pocket. It has some big people behind it who are really ready to do this project and do it right. And take it from a lefty like me, man. Like, I love the fishes. You don't want the fishes to be damaged by any project. That's the cost of doing business in the modern age. Care about the environment, care about the local communities, do the right thing. Generally speaking, any client we have in the resource area, that's what we expect from them. Yes, we know that you can't get nickel out of the ground without doing some processing and without some landscape looking like a moon landing. But you can't make an electric vehicle without nickel. You can't make a battery without nickel. So you got to do it. The question isn't can you or should you mine nickel? The question is, how do you mine it in the most responsible way? If you're going to move salmon, move the salmon and then move them back, or move them to a better environment. Do what you can to make things around this project so fucking pristine that no one will ever question you again and will allow you to come back for more and more. The investment proposal for Northern Dynasty, for NDM, for mine is, if you invest in it, you're not investing that you think that next week they're going to start drilling again. What you're doing is you're investing in the next 5 to 10 years. At some point, government changes, the shortage of copper starts being a factor, shortage of rare earths starts being a factor, and groups like this, projects like this, get in the scope of people who say, shit, we need to actually make a change here. We need to actually start extracting some minerals out of the ground. Who's close and who's got the biggest project? And when they get to that point, Northern Dynasty Minerals will be the one that they come to. It is a project so vast potentially, that I can't see how any Western country can leave it sitting on the books for much longer. I honestly think Northern Dynasty right now, if they got the go-ahead to start this project, it is a 10x from that point. Because right now, it is being fueled by people who are taking a very long-term viewpoint. A very long-term viewpoint. These guys aren't looking for the next 3 months to 6 months for return on their money. No, they're coming in cheap on a project that one day must be moved forward. It just must be. It has to be. And whether it takes a change of government to do that, or whether it takes a change of business outlook on a macroeconomic scale, it will happen at some point. At some point, the EPA will stop kicking this company in the shins, and will start allowing them to actually do the business that they've invested a lot of money in to get to this point. When we get there, I'd much rather be in NDM stock than out of it.